Elite Pod. I'm Shawn Michael.
And I'm Party Johnnetty. And together, we are the PodRockers.
The PodRockers are recording BEP live from our home Elite studios to bring you, the PodRocker Nation, the very best in AEW wrestling commentary. And this week we are bringing you a review of AEW on TNT, All Elite Wrestling Dynamite for October 2nd, 2019 from Washington, D.C. at the Capital One Arena. So Party Johnnetty, this was the first ever All Elite Wrestling Dynamite, and I think I got everything I wanted out of it. I feel pretty good about it. Kind of your general review. How do you feel?
Yeah, man, it was fun. It was a nice, good opening of a show. I mean, I didn't know what to really expect. I know this was high expectations for a lot of people. I mean, the atmosphere was amazing. The commentary team was great. I loved the overall look and the presence of it. I thought that was awesome. In between the commercials and whatnot too, doing that side by side, that was always nice. I like that I
really enjoyed that. Took
that a little bit out of a sports event, because you get that too. Like I know with like hockey and baseball anyway. A lot of the sporting events do that, so I was happy to see that they did it too. I don't know, man. It was good. I can't wait for more. The tag team tournament thing's going to be great coming up. And yeah, man, matches. There was a lot of nerves. Let's just put it that way. But overall, though, I was happy with it.
Yeah, I'd really like to hear what you dig into that, because I mean, as a general fan, kind of watching it, it seemed like everything seemed to go pretty well. I didn't see anything that was. I mean, there's a couple not botched moves, but moves that kind of took a little bit of extra effort, it looked like. But
yeah,
for the most part, it seemed like they were hitting their timing. It didn't seem like anything was rushed. So why don't we jump into gorilla position, and let's talk about the very first match, Cody Rhodes versus Sammy Guevara. So Party Johnnetty, kind of give me what you thought of this match.
Immediately, I thought, oh, great crowd opening. Very nice. That was very, very awesome. You could tell that Sammy seemed a little bit nervous. It was kind of a sloppy beginning there. Not everything was flawless like you kind of expected, that you hoped for. However, though, the match, there were some great highlights too. I liked that there was a spot where Sammy had forgotten about Cody and he was yelling at Brandy, and then all of a sudden he looks behind him and he tries to do a super kick on Cody. It was just like an all-out, hey, get away from me super kick. I really liked that. It looked natural. It looked good. I know there was some great cutter exchange between the two. I did like that as well. Kevin Smith and his reactions were absolutely amazing. That had me laughing. I enjoyed it, and it looks like he was thoroughly entertained for it as well. The asshole chant, that was hilarious. That was awesome to see. And JR's follow-up, a proctologist's nightmare. I died. Crazy inverted top rope suplex as well. And yes, I loved that shooting star press met with the inside cradle there, and Cody getting the 3. So yeah, not a lot. There was a couple, there was some overselling moments a little bit by Sammy. I'm not here to sit there and critique everything and say, by no means am I, one to try to critique a wrestler and what he does. But I mean, as a fan, there's some things that, you just see and it sticks in your head. And in those cases, you say, well, does that take away from the match? Does it add to it? Does it help it? Or is it negative? And I mean, some of the overreacting spots, like Flair's great at it, but there's something a little bit more to it. There was only a couple though. So, I mean, it wasn't bad. I thought Sammy and Cody would do a little bit better than they did. However, I still enjoyed the match, man. I gave it 3 barbershop windows.
I like. So do you feel that was a pretty good opening, though, overall, for what you would expect for AEW's first match, or was it kind of like your trademark, hoping just for a little bit more?
Oh man, no, it was a good opener. I will give him that. If there wasn't those little sloppy moments in the beginning, like those nerve moments, I would have been like, man, this was a perfect opener. It was a good match between the two of them. It wasn't like, both guys were showcased well, and I thought Sammy did a good job being a piece of shit. So,
Yes. I feel like that, in the first couple matches we've seen with Sammy, I don't feel like he's gotten the asshole over as well as he probably could.
Yeah.
I know when you look at some of the old Being the Elites, he's kind of going around. He's like kind of got that, like, the guy at work who's kind of just a real dick, but, he plays everything off a little bit like, oh, yeah, it's like, hey, man, like, great match. It's like, well, did you watch my match? Like, nah, but I heard your match.
Yeah, man.
And it was really good.
Yeah.
And so I like that, you get a little tease in the beginning of this. You see him like coming up, getting face to face with Cody at the end of the match. I felt like that was a good storytelling at the end of this. I thought Sammy did a good job at the end of it with, kind of be like, all right, there's the handshake, which, I don't know if anybody's been listening to Arn Anderson's podcast. Like the handshake's a big deal, right?
Yeah, right.
Throws the handshake out there, and who comes from behind? Chris Jericho. So it's kind of like, all right, well, is Sammy like with Chris, or is he just like, oh, all right, well, I'm not going to be here, man. Like, I'm just going to go to the back and I'm going to listen to your ass kick and not going to watch it, but I'll listen for it.
Yeah.
But I was in the boat. I probably left this at a 3.5. I thought it was a good opening. I thought it really kind of cements Sammy a little bit kind of in this group that is Chris Jericho. I feel bad because I think the PodRockers kind of got booted from this group.
Yeah.
And if they come out calling themselves the Frauds, like, Party Johnnetty, Party of Law, we're going to like file a trademark because that is ours.
Exactly.
Frauders, LLC, that is us.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. Don't touch anything that has to do with fraud. We're all about the fraud. The fraud is us, okay?
I saw at the very opening of this too, I saw the cutscene and I'm a huge Kevin Smith fan. And so instantly when I saw him, like that was kind of like a sore thumb. I'm like, what is he doing at a wrestling event?
Yeah, right.
Because I know he's had some interactions with Chris Jericho. They've done podcasts together. He's in his newest movie, and so it was really cool to see him there. It's cool that they brought him out too. Like they made him a part of the show, which I feel is kind of like probably something that he never even dreamed would happen. But getting to see that, I popped for that pretty hard.
Oh yeah, man.
But yeah, I left this one at a 3.5.
Nice. Your worlds collided there, dude.
They did. It was one of those that like I was just listening today to Chris Jericho and Kevin Smith are doing a rewatch kind of commentary on Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
And so I was just listening to that today, then to see him there, I'm like, holy, it's kind of like when like you go to school, or no, you go like to the grocery store and you see a teacher from school.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Wait a minute, you don't exist here. Like, you don't exist outside of school.
Yeah. Yeah.
So It blew my mind a little bit.
Yeah.
I did say, so I kind of felt like that Jason Mewes and Kevin Smith should have been the secret partners. If we want to go like back to like WWE guest spot, of the night. But I want to throw the challenge out there for the audio tag team championships of the world, a pod match between the PodRockers and the Snoogans.
Oh man.
Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes for the audio tag team championship of the world. We all know who's going to come on top on that one.
Exactly. Because we always come on top.
Yeah, never on bottom. All right, so let's jump into our next match. So we've got MJF versus Brandon Cutler. So this was a match when we first talked about it. I was hoping for, this is where I'm going to use your trademark. I was hoping for a little bit more.
Yeah.
So the match, I even feel like MJF kind of coming out and his digs felt a little bit lackluster for what I'm used to. I was watching it with somebody who's not big into wrestling. I was like, oh, this dude is funny. And it just didn't feel like any of the stingers like I remember from like Fyter Fest and things like that. So I'm kind of curious if on TV MJF is going to have to cut back a little bit more.
Yeah, right.
So it's going to kind of water him down. Brandon Cutler coming out to his music, I really enjoyed that. I just heard that that's brand new music he created, but it definitely felt like you saw a guy who was out of his element, which was played well because we all know Brandon Cutler took 7 years off, came back about for the last 2 years. And he might be kind of, punching above his weight class.
Mm-hmm.
Because he probably shouldn't be on this stage yet. And it's played very well in this match. I thought MJF did a great job. We got to see a submission in this too.
Yeah, right. That was fun. I totally forgot that that's one of MJF's finishers. And it was nice to see, man. I always love seeing submissions.
I hope, and I really want this to kind of build into a bigger storyline because you've kind of been playing on it a lot too, like the bully versus or the schoolyard bully versus, the nice guy.
Mm-hmm.
We always talk about nice guys never finish first. They always finish last. And I really hope they play this up a lot. Maybe this leads into something for Full Gear. I just don't want this story to die. Like, I want good things from Brandon Cutler. But unfortunately for this match, I kind of dropped it down a little bit to a 2.75.
Yeah, man, it definitely was expecting more. It felt like the build up to the match, and then all of a sudden it just stopped. It was a short car trip in such a way that I got geared up ready for it, and then all of a sudden I was like, hey, we're already here, and it's like, wait, what? So I mean, there was a couple things in there that I did enjoy. I love when MJF, he does that arm lock body slam. That is just, it's really good. What I like about Brandon Cutler too is, I mean, obviously the dude's very talented in just all areas, not just in wrestling, but he and his wife make costumes, and obviously now it makes music, and he's a real Renaissance man. I really enjoyed too that he even made it convincing in the story like that. Hey, even though he belongs there, he plays like he really doesn't. Like, hey, I just got this gig because I'm friends with the Bucks.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that takes a lot too, to do something like that, especially. I am kind of happy that the way things went, but it just went so fast. I know Cutler, had a little bit of a slip up on that top rope. I don't think that was supposed to happen, but if anything, he's great at improv because he immediately grabbed his knee and acted like, oh, he twisted his knee trying to do something, and then MJF took full well advantage of it and beat him. A really quick finish. I was really surprised at that. Did want more, and I guess I graded this a little bit harsher. I gave it a 2, man.
Oh, I could buy it. Yeah, it was definitely. I think the ending to the build up was a lot quicker. I think your short card ride was like the great. It's like, oh my gosh, okay, we're going to be in here for 20 minutes. It's like, oh wait, we're already here.
Yeah.
Like, all right, like, well, I felt like I missed something important.
Yeah, exactly, man.
But our next match we had this night, it's one that was a pay-per-view potential for Double or Nothing. It's Adam Hangman Page, who, like we mentioned last week, or just yesterday, I guess, on our review show, that he hasn't been seen for a bit, versus Pac. So, Party Johnnetty, how'd you feel about this match?
It wasn't, it didn't let me down. The more and more that I start thinking about it and having a little bit more time to reflect on, one of the things that you need to take notice, and a lot of wrestlers say this, and they say it on their podcasts and whatnot, is that save all the big stuff for the pay-per-view, because you don't want to overdo yourself or hurt yourself on a show. I mean, the startup show is going to be big no matter what, and these guys had a great match, man. They went all out with each other, that it did feel like it could have belonged on a pay-per-view, but you could feel the time constraints just because it's a 2-hour show. Whereas at a pay-per-view, it doesn't, even though the constraints are there, like there's restraints, you don't feel that as much. But I really enjoyed this match. I loved the clothesline moments, the springboard moonsault on the outside. That low blow spot was just
awesome.
Oh my gosh. I'm like, he connected. I don't know how you don't connect. Whether it was an accident or what, he still caught him in the nads. I mean, it's just that it had to happen that way. And that finish was crazy. I did enjoy this match, and it is one of a little bit higher rated. I went with 3.25 barbershop windows.
Nice. Yeah, that spot at the end, the top spot from Pac, was awesome. They're just doing that twist slam, put him in the submission move.
Yeah, I love that.
Another submission for the evening, which was awesome.
Yeah.
It's what I enjoy about this too is you have Page, who's coming off of, this is a guy that's kind of been says like, this is the next big thing, Adam Page. And he had a big loss to Jericho in the last pay-per-view, and coming into this, it's like, all right, this is a big match, and now Pac has a win over probably the top 2 guys next to Jericho. And this hurts Paige quite a bit. Like I really want to know what happens with him. And it's one of the things that, you didn't get to see a lot of storyline play out in this show. They had a few cut scenes and things like that, but for the most part, it was just matches. It was bell to bell.
Yeah, right.
But, and that's why I'm hoping, they move the Rhodes to like a Friday or something like that, because, we're all going to be digesting this tomorrow, and then to find out, okay, well, Adam, how'd you feel about this? Like, I want to know. And on his Twitter, before the night it was even over, he tweeted something along the lines of basically like who let Hebner ref, because it was a missed call, and that's a very legit thing when they're trying to make wins and losses matter. Like that was a cheat, that was a low blow, and you have this referee that should catch that, and he missed it. So this was the one match I did feel like was kind of almost pay-per-view level. Yeah. Like the other ones I do feel the same way you did. There was a little bit of pulling back, but it did feel like there was that time constraint piece to it. But I rated this a little bit higher than yours. I did a 3.5 on this. I was pretty excited about it. I'm curious about the storyline with this. We've got, 3 matches, 3 good storylines coming from, what's going to happen in the future. So I'm super pumped for him.
Oh yeah, definitely, man. I agree with you. It's with both stories are interesting to see where they're gonna go. Where's Paige gonna go? Where's Pac gonna go? It's a really cool story for both of them to play out. Like it's just there's a lot of writing potential there.
Yeah, I mean, like right now, you'd have to say the number 2 contender right now has to be Pac. I don't know who else you could say it would be.
Yeah. Oh, I agree with you, man. I agree. You're like you mentioned. He has 2 wins over 2 of the arguably the biggest top singles guys in AEW.
So our next match was the first title match of the evening. It was for the AEW Women's Championship, and it was Nyla Rose versus Riho. So this match, it was probably the match I was least looking forward to of the evening. Mainly because I don't think there's been a big storyline build up to these two. It's just kind of here's your 2. It's kind of like even the world championship title they had at the last pay-per-view All Out, because it was just okay, we got 2 guys fighting for a title, so there's not much storyline there. Yeah, but I feel like these 2 really delivered. It's one of those things that Riho, I think, kind of showed a little bit of strength in this, which I think is, she had that big suplex off the top rope, which kind of bend your reality a little bit, but she did it.
Yeah, man.
And seeing how she won, she came through in a way I thought was believable.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious, the ending of this, you see Nyla Rose kind of coming back. I love JR kind of throwing out let her have her damn moment. And Kenny Omega coming out. He's got this connection with Riho, and he's coming out to not really protect her, but kind of stop her from Nyla Rose attacking. Yeah. To me, it's what I love, where it kind of blurs the line of stuff, because if this was like an actual attack, if it was if it was a work, I would think that you would have maybe more women come down or more people contending for the women's title, and you'd have that scuffle. But instead, it almost has that like borderline shoot feel, where it's like, no, this is her friend Kenny Omega, who really hasn't been involved in this storyline at all, coming out to her defense.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And I let my 12-year-old brain kick in and be like, all right, well, maybe there's something there. Maybe Nyla Rose wasn't supposed to attack her, because it makes it more fun for me in that sense.
Oh, of course, man. Yeah.
This match with the title on the line, with how it ended up, with Britt Baker kind of being in the background, I gave this one a 4 barbershop windows.
Nice, man. Yeah, no, I did enjoy this match. It was, I warned against it, saying, the nerves were going to be high, and it did feel like that, though. There was some moments there that it was just same kind of like with that Cody Sammy match. A little bit of the nerves were flaring up, so there wasn't necessarily some picture perfect moments, but for the most part, though, it was easy to see just how great these 2 women could battle one another. I know some fans, not because of anything other than Nyla Rose kind of not having smooth matches. I know she gets flack for that. This didn't help her in any way with some of the fans. I know that they're going to be like, look, there's no reason she should have been contending, because, I wouldn't say she botches as much as, there's slip-ups and whatnot. So there was a couple slip-ups in the match. However, it was still a fun match. There was still some great moments. I loved it. I loved the beginning too. Like poor Riho trying her best to take out Nyla Rose and just can't. Nyla Rose seemed to be just toying with her. The beautiful catch on the outside. That's amazing to me. It's amazing to catch someone jumping off basically 5 feet off the top rope into the ring, but to do that, which is almost like 10 feet from the top to the bottom outside, and catch someone like that, that's incredible, man. They had a good back and forth though. I loved their kick out moments at the end. It was like we beat the crap out of each other and we can barely move anymore. 1, 2, 3, just the shoulder up just in time. And
I watched that a lot closer. I remember you mentioned like sometimes when you see that, it's more of like a slide up, not really a kick out.
Yeah.
And so seeing that where it's just you have just enough momentum to kind of move your shoulder up more so than kick out. And that kind of adds to the drama.
Yeah, man. And I loved it too. Nyla Rose kicking out after the 3. I love when some wrestlers do that. Some are great just to show that, they still had some fight left in them, but it wasn't enough. I love those moments and those storylines, and I was surprised that Riho won. That was really cool, man. And then we had that. We had a little bit of the botch up with Michael Nakazawa, and that set out.
That one was kind of hard to watch. But
yeah, I loved. Good on Tony Schiavone because he improv'd it right away. He's like, "Oh, I bet you've never seen the 2-pump sit out power bomb." And I was like, that's kind of funny that, he said it like that to try to save her. It was like kind of weird, that happened, but I liked he tried to save her. That's pretty awesome, man. To have your commentary team like that. Well, they could have just been like, "Oh, she didn't catch all of that," but instead, trying to be positive about it. I gave the match 3.25 barbershop windows.
I like it. So now we get to our main event of the evening. We have Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks versus Chris Jericho and the mystery partners who we find out are LAX. So, Party Johnnetty, can you let me know what you think about this match? How do you feel like the main event for the first ever All Elite Wrestling Dynamite went?
Oh, I really liked it, man. I liked that mayhem and the chaos there. It was just really weird. And the crowd was electric. The guys were electric. Just fun back and forth between people. I was not expecting Moxley to show up during the match and take out Kenny. That was fun. Little interesting, little weird. We end up finding out it's like, oh, okay, well, yeah, definitely no DQ match there. They fought all the way to the back of the VIP area. I loved the super dirty deeds through that glass table. That was absolutely crazy. Those super kicks on Jericho I loved too. That was fun as well. I really enjoyed this match, man. It was a cool back and forth. Matt taking a lot of the beating, Nick finally getting the hot tag, rushing in and beating guys up, and Nick looking just great, but it just wasn't enough, man. Your third partner gets taken out by an outside source. It's just the two of you, and I love the storyline in that, trying their best to win, but your best just can't be there sometimes when it's 3-on-2 like that. And I love the teamwork, like LAX throwing Matt into Jericho and Jericho nailing him with the Judas effect, getting that pin right there. That was cool. And then on top of that, the big rush of Cody Rhodes coming out, and then Dustin Rhodes coming out, and then we get the craziness. We had mentioned this, you and I had talked about this possibility of someone coming out that night too. Jack Swagger, aka Jake Hager, and he did, and I popped a lot more than I thought I would for that moment. Pretty awesome that he got the "We the People" chants. I thought that was kind of cool too. That's like a throwback to his WWE time, but the fans were happy to see him, and he looks great, man. He actually looks really good. So if anything, It was like I said, when we were talking yesterday about, I love that whole, like, holy shit, this moment happens. at the end of the show, and you don't want the show to end, but it has to end. I loved all the guys, Sammy, LAX, Jake, and Chris Jericho all standing there, and the camera just pans past all of them. Jericho does kind of like that shrug moment. I started laughing at that. And then it just focuses on Jake, man. And it was just like, oh, that's cool. That was really cool. Loved the end to that. I gave that match a 3.5 barbershop windows.
Yeah, he looks super swole. Like I don't remember him too much in WWE. Like I know he was a bigger guy, but just the presence in this ring for this, he just looked huge to me.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
And I thought the match was well done. Like I like the idea that, when Moxley came in and took out Omega, that didn't end the match. There wasn't a DQ there, because I feel like that's kind of the cliche when you have big matches like this. But like you said, wins and losses matter. So, somebody gets hurt, taken out. It's like, well, the match has to continue. But the end brush up, I think, really kind of sets the stage for this, because we have this group that's led by Jericho, and how he was almost defiling the AEW, the ring apron, or not the ring apron, it was like the timekeeper's apron.
Yeah,
it had the AEW sign, almost taking it and throwing it to the side, and almost like I was waiting for him to like do the whole like sticking in his nose a la DX style.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So and you have the Elite all piled up in the middle, and it really had that, I don't want to throw too much WCW comparisons, but that like kind of NWO takeover feel.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
And and it's you think it's like, okay, well, we're in the happy AEW times, like it's going to be great. Like, no, that was Double or Nothing. That was like early on. We're now in it, and this is a group that's like, we're looking for thank yous. We're looking to be number one here. We don't care that you're the Elite. You have this cute YouTube channel, whatever. Like, we're here to take over the world. Like we said, we want to change the universe, and we meant it.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I kind of wonder, with Kevin Smith sitting front row, because he stayed for the whole thing, because I kept seeing his hat.
Yeah, man. Yeah, he did.
And so, like, he's sitting there, he's like, oh, I'm kind of glad we recorded the podcast already, because I'm kind of scared now.
Yeah, right?
But I dropped this one as a 3.75 barbershop windows. It was a great end to it. Like you said, I'm excited for next week. My biggest concern for this episode was you're going to watch it, and you almost felt uncomfortable watching it.
Mm-hmm.
But kind of going to cheap heat Mark moments a little bit, I was really happy to see that they gave a lot of the names that we know little spots. Like we got a little spot from Private Party and Helico and Jack Evans we got.
Yeah, right?
SCU got a spot.
Mm-hmm.
You got to see a lot of these guys who we've been kind of watching along the way. And it didn't like interrupt the show or anything. It was just kind of a nice little, hey, here's this group. Remember, they're here. They're prepping for the tag team tournament next week. So I thought they did a good job kind of fitting that in, because it does feel more like they're not going to be doing a lot of, straight up interviews during the shows. That's probably going to be more for the YouTube channels, maybe cut-ins.
Mm-hmm.
So I really like that. That was kind of my mark out moments.
Yeah.
The other mark out moment obviously was seeing Kevin Smith. Like when I first saw him, first thing I did, grab the phone, tweet it, and be like, boom, I just saw these guys. What the fuck are they doing here?
Yeah, man. Yeah, it was good, dude. Definitely. I know I kind of spread my mark out moments throughout the matches there, but yeah, definitely Jake Hager coming in, like that really surprised me. I don't know why it surprised me, because there was the rumors about it, but it was nice. It was still nice to see. I'm glad I kind of proved myself wrong, because I was like, I don't know how big of a pop that's going to get. And it did. It got a pretty decent pop, myself included. I don't know, Jericho coming out, beating up Cody Rhodes. That was fun too, man. I love the fact that like Kevin Smith seeing all the reaction, Brandy getting kind of pulled into the way of Cody's Tope Suicida, and just that whole situation right there. That was really cool. A moment that I laughed a lot at, when Cody threw his weight belt out into the crowd and 3 grown men were fighting over it.
Yeah.
Like it was just one of those moments. I guess I probably would, I can laugh at it because it was just happening, but it's like, yeah, probably I would fight over it too if it landed in my hands and it landed in someone else's hands and we both are just trying to get the best of it. I don't know. What do you do in that situation? But
you'd give him a pod drop.
Yeah.
A rocker drop.
Hell yeah, man. Tag in my tag team partner, knocks him out. I take that belt, whip him with it.
Yeah.
We end up going out in style, man. We go over, baby.
So get ready, Steve. Here comes the hot tag, and boom, the PodRocker train rolls in. You're like, better be ready for these PodRocker bumps.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah, man. Not too many. Not too much cheap heat, to be completely honest. Besides, a little bit of the sloppiness here and there. That didn't take away from the show for me. It's always weird for me to watch something live now since I don't have cable. I end up having to get Sling TV for this. So that was really weird for me to sit there and watch a show for 2 hours. And it's like, oh man, one of my personal markout moments was during commercial breaks, going on to Facebook and whatnot and seeing friends and acquaintances talking about AEW and NXT. Awesome. Like just that back and forth. It was really cool to see that. And it was like, wow, man, that took me back to my childhood. And like, I thought that was really cool. So if anything, I think this is awesome. I've heard some good stuff about NXT. I haven't watched any of it. I didn't do that flip between channels type of thing yet. I have it recorded now since I now have Sling and I have that option. So I'll probably watch that and see how it goes. I've heard some good things that happened over there as well, too. So I don't know. It's good to be a wrestling fan, man. It really is.
Yeah, I think tonight I just saw announced on, like I got an email from WWE that it was going to be Adam Cole for the title. He was putting his title up tonight. So yeah, definitely, a very big main event for NXT this week. So I didn't pay much attention to it. I've seen a couple episodes. I've seen one episode of the new NXT since it's been on the USA, and it doesn't feel as polished to me. Mm-hmm. If that seems right, like compared to AEW, but again, I've been following AEW a lot more closely than NXT. But
yeah, it's the same thing with them too, man. I got so spoiled with watching, all those NXT takeovers and stuff that I totally forgot. Same type of thing. It's like not every show has to be of that quality. You don't want to kill yourselves. You're killing yourselves on these big pay-per-views. Don't do it week in, week out, man. You can still have a great match. You can still tell a story and still get people to fall in love with you. It was in the same boat. Like, I mean, watching that first one and whatnot, it was like, yeah, that was some good stuff, but it just, I realized too, I was like, oh yeah, they don't have to do this. Why would you do this? That would be foolish. Get hurt on a TV show and then you're out for 6 months. It is one thing to keep in common. I'm going to be very, interested to see those that watch both. Cause I'll be completely honest. It's not me going to be watching both. I'm only going to watch pretty much this week's. And then if I hear that something good happens, I'll go back and I'll watch it. So we'll see how it goes, man.
Yeah, and set-wise, the only real other thing that, like, I like the set, but the only thing that kind of threw me off was the coloring in the crowd. They had kind of the blue lights that seemed, I don't know if it was just my TV settings or what it was, but it seemed a little odd to me. Mm-hmm. I don't really remember it from any of the pay-per-views or anything like that, so I don't know if that was just the arena or what, but I'll be curious to see how Boston plays out.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. Like I said, I'm excited for next week. So as we're going into these weeks to week more often, getting to see more happening, let's do our BEP Elite 5. So Party Johnnetty, what's your BEP Elite 5 for this week?
All right, man. This is kind of crazy seeing all what was happening. I would have to say out of everything that went on this time around, I would put, let's go MJF in my number 5 spot. I'm going to put Riho in my number 4 spot. I will put, let's put Pac in my number 3 spots, Cody in the number 2, and Jericho in number 1.
We're not too far off. Yeah, so for my number 5, I knocked Nyla Rose out since she lost, and Riho's at my number 5. Sammy G's staying in my number 4. My number 3, I dropped Paige out and put Pac in that position. And then my 2 and 1 are the same as last week, Cody and Jericho. So when you look at it, champion number 1 contender number 2, and who I think is the number 2 contender, Pac, number 3.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But Party Johnnetty, great week. We got a great Road 2 episode. We got a great review episode. I'm super psyched for next week. So remember, we have a From the Stand section. So please, PodRocker Nation, send us that feedback. And if you want, send us your promo. It's your gimmick. Send it to us at PodRockers@BElitePod.com. All right, Party Johnnetty, so what do we have coming up next?
Well, our next episode, we will be bringing you a review for the second ever episode for AEW on TNT Wednesday Night Dynamite from Boston, Massachusetts at the I don't know how to say this arena.
Agnes
Arena?
I think that's Massachusettsian for PodRocker, so we'll call it PodRocker Arena.
Hell yeah.
All right, PodRocker Nation, reach out to BEP by following us on Twitter at BElitePod and Instagram at BElitePodcast. Email questions, comments, and those promos to PodRockers@BElitePod.com. Like us on Facebook by searching for BElitePod.
Well, we are desperately out of time for this week's episode of Elite Pod, but until next week, I'm Party Johnnetty.
And I'm Shawn Michael saying so long from our BEP Home Elite Studios.
And remember, get off the street and be elite.
And we're coming for you, Snoogans, the PodRockers. You make movies, we make money. We make it here in the ring.
That's right, we're all about the fraud, baby.